Hi, everybody. We've had a few technical glitches, but I am not going to let this ruin this beautiful masterclass that we're doing. So we're hopping on back. The other video recorded, it's going to be on the group page, so you're going to be able to watch it. And we're going to start right where we ended. So we ended with the 7 signs that you might be in the anxious avoidant trap. And I'm just going to go really quickly over them in this video. Yay, Emily, we're back. You know, life has glitches. Life has glitches. That's pretty much it. It's not just Facebook. Let me see. Can you see me better now? Yeah. So I'm going to go through them really quickly for the people who are watching live. And then the other video is going to be online for people to go into the depth of what we just discussed. So 7 signs of the anxious avoidant trap. First, intense chemistry. And more than intense chemistry, hi Eric, it's like this feeling of like urgency, like this is it, like this relationship may be the one, you know? In this kind of urgent place of this person might make me feel all these things and unlock all this stuff. Of course we want chemistry. Who doesn't want chemistry? It's the foundation of relationships, right? But this urgent place. After some time, the relationship takes on a character of more or less, this place of enough and not enough and too much, right? And this dynamic feels familiar. You've been there before. You know how it goes. It feels really familiar. That's number 3. Number 4, if you're on the anxious polarity in this relationship, your partner starts occupying the bigger portion of your brain space. It's like your work gets affected, your other relationships get affected. It's like, oh my God, why is this taking up so much of my mental energy, you know? I wish it would, it's like pulling. And if you're on the avoidant side of things, questioning the relationship starts taking up a lot of mental energy. It's like, is this person right for me? Is this person really the one? You know, I thought this person might be the one, but are they really the one? Number 6, this distance that's created by these mental things leads to the end of the relationship. Or, you know, if you're like in a marriage or a long-term relationship that isn't so easy to end, to a lot of distance. And it's this disconnection. It's the disconnection, really, that is the result, and that could lead to the actual dissolution of the contract, of the relationship. And if the relationship gets dissolved, for the partner who is on the avoidant thing, in the beginning, it's like a wave of relief. I've heard so many people say, I'm so relieved that relationship ended. But after this initial relief, a wave of sadness comes about. Like, was this, you know, why can't I find the one? You know, why can't I find the one? And for the person who's on the anxious side of things, it really feels like death. It's like, feels like abandonment, betrayal, like this place of not loved is so familiar and so anxious. And basically, what the sloop is replaying, it's replaying our old stories again and again. And our stories, you know, have different narratives. We all are different human beings. We're all sovereign, so we have a slightly different narrative. But it's this story about how am I not getting my needs met? How am I not getting enough love? And the stories here, I'm just going to put a few stories out there, you know. It's like I give and I give, and I give and I give and I give. And I'm not being met in the same way. No, they don't give to me. They don't meet my needs. It's like, another story can be like, they always want more, you know? More serious, more commitment, more this, more that. And I'm just like, I'm not ready to give that. I can't give that. I'm not ready. I need space. You know, the story can be like, it always starts out amazing and then it fizzles. You know, or it's like, what happened? The chemistry was intense. It was so great. What happened? You know, I thought they were the one, but it turned out that they weren't. So these are the types of stories. So as you're watching, as you're going through this masterclass, you know, I invite you to ponder, to reflect on what your story is. You know, maybe journal it. What stories are coming up in your relationships? And relationships, all life, like life, spirituality is a big part of how I orient myself. So it's really a dance between sovereignty and synergy. Hi Parvina, always glad to have you. You know, one, and in this place, one person wants more sovereignty and one person wants more synergy. So how do we keep our sovereignty and be in synergy with the other, with all of creation, with our friends, with our partners, with our father, mother, with the planet, you know, with the universe? It's like, how do we maintain our sense of sovereignty, our earth, and maintain and also be in synergy with the sky? It's the integration of these energies. Yeah? And why is this so hard for like 99.999% of us? You know, why is this so hard? And so a lot of what I do in exploring this place of why it's so hard has to do with our childhood wounding. How was love given or withheld when we were small? You know, how did we learn to stay in connection when we were little? Because when we were little, and by little I mean, you know, in utero essentially, well, we don't have that many needs in utero, but from birth until about 5 years old, which is when our big superhighways in our brain get really fixed and formulated and locked and loaded. In this short span of 5 years that we don't have much, you know, access to even our memory to, how did we learn to stay in connection with our caregivers? Because in our biology and our neurochemistry, which goes back to prehistoric times, you know, to caveman times, to, you know, survival times, if we're not in connection with our mother and father, we die. So that's why abandonment can really feel like death. That's why breakups can really feel like death, because in our brain, it actually does transmit on the same neurons as danger, I might die, you know? So how do we learn? How do we learn to stay in connection? Did we learn to give ourselves away, to caretake others? Did we learn to not listen to our own needs? Were our caregivers very overbearing and smothering? Were our caregivers very tug and pull with love? This very chaotic aspect of love. Not enough love, you know, did we not get enough love in this way? And based on these places that would I go really deep into these places with my clients. You know, this is just the backbone of it, you know. This is where these strategies get formulated about how we do relationships. And the trick is, you know, we attract the same frequency that we're vibrating, right? So if we're vibrating here, we're going to attract here. We're not going to attract here, and we're not going to attract there. Same. So we're attracting the exact match of our vibrational frequency. And what this means on kind of ground, earthy relationship terms is that one person's story becomes the other person's strategy. So basically, what starts out as beautiful chemistry, connection, feeling seen, feeling loved, this poof, starts manifesting as each other's worst nightmare. Okay? I know this sounds really bad, but at the end, you know, relationships dissolve because we start manifesting as each other's worst nightmares. And how does this actually work? So let's say we have Jack and Jill in the relationship, you know, any sex, any gender, whatever, but I'm just using Jack and Jill. You know, for Jill, for example, the story is that the partners, always leave and never give enough to meet my needs and make me feel loved, you know. And the strategy that Jill has is to give and give and give, hoping to get love in return. So I'm going to say this quickly again. The story is they always leave and they never meet my needs. They never show up and make me feel loved. And the strategy is I'm going to give and give and give, hoping they'll meet my needs and come towards me. All right? Now, Jack's story is they always want too much and I have to sacrifice myself to meet their needs. Yeah, that's the strategy. I have to give myself away to be in a relationship with Jill. And that's the story. And the strategy is withdraw. I'm going to withdraw from the relationship, you know, hold my space so that I can preserve a sense of self. Michaela says, ooh, that hits hard. Going through a breakup now, and it really does feel like I'm dying. I'm sorry, Michaela. It does feel like we're dying. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the trap. one person's story becomes the other person's strategy. Yeah, this Jill's story that they never give enough to make me feel loved and get my needs met is Jack's strategy to preserve himself. You know, I'm just doing him and her right now, it doesn't matter. And Jack's story of they always want too much and I have to sacrifice myself is Jill's strategy of let me give and give and give, hoping that they'll give back. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And we turn into each other's worst nightmares. Unfortunately, because we all want to feel loved. Both Jack and Jill want to feel loved. It's just that when we come into this place of connection, the way that relationships were when we were young starts coming up. It starts coming up when we get triggered and we fall into our old stories and our patterns. Yeah. And so this is what it is, essentially. This day is about what it is. Now, I want to touch really quickly on some things that are kind of floated around with the anxious avoidant trap. One is relationship style, relating style, and specifically monogamy versus polyamory, you know. Personally, for me, there's no, one is not more valuable or the other. Like, one is not more supreme or superior or more elevated or more spiritual or more right than the other. It's just different ways of relating. And both of them have their light aspects and their shadow aspects. Now, the monogamous way of relating, the shadow of monogamy, is the anxious pattern. It's the control of, it's like, give, you know, I'm gonna like set these rules and try to control you so that you can feel my needs of getting loved, right? And the poly control pattern. This trap is a control pattern, okay? Both actors, the anxious and the avoidant, are both in a control pattern of trying to change the other to make themselves feel loved. So in the poly way of relating, the control pattern is I am going to love here, 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 and here to not feel the pain, to not feel like it's too much, to not get hurt. Because both parties don't want to get hurt. Now, these are the shadows, okay? And both monogamy and polyamory, they both have these shadow places, and they both have light places. And when we step into monogamy from a place of love, from a place of growth and consciousness about these triggers, about, you know, this relating pattern, it can be a beautiful journey of love and freedom, you know? And when we step into polyamory from this place of consciousness and, you know, and taking responsibility for our feelings and understanding why we do what we do and why we make the decisions, it can also be a place of tremendous love and connection and freedom. It's two different ways of relating. And people who are more in the anxious gravitate towards the monogamous, and people who are more in the avoidant tend to, you know, it's easier to do the poly in the shadow. But both people want to feel loved, seen, and deeply connected, right? And it's really scary in both types of relating. Yeah. And one more thing that I want to touch base on that also gets thrown around in attachment styles, attachment theory, is this twin flames mythology. Like, there's this twin flame thing, and when I hear the words twin flame, it really makes me, you know, when I work with clients and people say these words, I really drop into where are we in this trap right now, because I really feel, experience, and believe most of the time, sometimes I fall into my own triggers and wounds in place of smallness, but I really do feel that the universe is infinitely abundant. Love is infinite, it's conscious, it's abundant. Manifestation is abundant and infinite. So this thing of there's the one person out there that can make me feel loved and fulfill my needs. I don't buy into it. In fact, what it really tells me is that we're in story. We're in a wounded child self. Because when we were young, really little, there was a place of the one. There was the one mom and there was the one dad. So there was this place of the one. When we're an adult, there's, 8 billion people. Really, just one that can do it for you. Once we start doing the work and we build relationship and we get conscious about these places that come up and we build a relationship based on trust, authenticity, vulnerability, and deep connection, then sure, we can sense that this person is like the one with whom we're co-creating this deep, deep place that we haven't co-created with other people, or at least are not co-creating it right now. So in the present moment, but this twin flame mythology, it's a wounded child place from my experience. And if you disagree, put on the comment. So I'm hearing this is resonating with a lot of people, so I'm really happy. And again, if you're watching this as a recording, I know a lot of people can't make it, but if you're watching it as a recording, comment #replay with your comments, and you'll also be included in the drawing for a chance for the one-on-one with me. So, okay, a lot of resonance. It's like, okay, this is so me. This is really happening in my life. It's really familiar. I want out. Get me out of this trap, right? What to do? And I really wish I could have like a magic wand, or like the 3 steps, or like the 10 tools, and they would work magically, and then I would be super rich and you would be super happy. But no, that's not how it works. At least I haven't seen it work that way. It's a process. It's a journey. Like, the life is not a day. The life is, a journey. So it's a process, and growth and expansion is a process. We don't go from 0 to 100 overnight. I do a lot of medicine work, and in medicine work, process is the most important thing in terms of breaking through. We don't just break through, we go through process. And this is what we do in life. Medicine is life, So I just want to shout out and say how I work with people in process and support people and facilitate and help people in process to go through this and come out with more consciousness to be able to show up differently in relationships than the way we've been doing it in this unconscious rinse repeat sort of a way. So, as many of you know, because I've been talking about it, I work in one-on-one containers with people, individuals. This is like my heart-centered work. This adds the meaning and the value to my life. All the stuff, on Facebook and stuff, it's education and it's expansion. It's holding me accountable also. But the one-on-one work is what I really love. It's where I work really deeply with people. We get into the trenches of the inner child wounding. We get into the trenches of intimacy, of deep connection, of communication, of feelings. I work in a feelings-based container. So the 4 primary feelings that we all are in all the time, or at least one of them, one or a combination of them, is anger, sadness, fear, or joy. So right now, what are you feeling? Anger, sadness, fear, or joy? And if you say, I don't know, I'm confused, we're not in touch. So we get really in touch with our heart, with what we're feeling, because it's our feelings that guide us home. Our feelings have incredible intelligence. They're there for a reason. They show us a lot. And it's our feelings that open our heart to the intimacy and the connection, and also the boundaries and the expression of needs that we need to maintain our sovereignty and be in connection. So feelings is a really deep one. I work in a somatic container, so it's not just like talking. We do a lot of talking because a lot of times, our life happens over here. you know? So talking is important, but energizing these places, you know, if you don't know how to feel this, then we need to energize it, and we energize it through our body. We energize it in our body. So sometimes that involves you know, hitting, screaming. Sometimes it involves just lying open and feeling vulnerable with our heart, you know, opening it. Sometimes it's like pulling to feel what it's like to pull energy towards us, engaging. It's infinite. The amount of somatic work that we can do, it's really infinite. It's a creative process. It's creative in a co-creational, biodynamic way. And it gets us into our bodies, into our feelings, into our inner intelligence so quickly. You know, into our inner intelligence of how we are experiencing relationship, ourselves, our needs, our expression of our needs, our communication, our boundaries, so quickly. So, and all of this is coming up whether we're in a relationship or we want to attract in a relationship. It's all this. So does anybody have any questions? And again, if you have questions and you're in replay, just hashtag replay, ask the questions. I'll address them tomorrow or the day after. Wonderful. So all of this is a deep journey. It's a deep dive. It's a deep work. It's not like, you know, here's a worksheet, fill it out. No worksheets, no deeper. And if you're ready for this change, if you're ready for this type of transformation, sign up for a free clarity call with me. See if we align. Not all the time people align, you know. The relationship between the client and the practitioner is the most important one. It's like where 80% of the work gets done, because frankly, and this is going more into the theory, the technicality behind a therapy-based container and practice, is that in the relationship between the client and the practitioner is where 80% of the work gets done. Because, and ask my clients, you know, well, you can't because you don't know who they are, because confidentiality is really important. But you know, read the reviews, the testimonials. But in the relationship, a lot of transference happens, you know. And in this transference with somebody who knows what they're doing, you know, who can hold the space for the transference, is where a lot of the work gets done. So it's not right for everybody. Sometimes the relationship can't hold it, so the relationship needs to be really important. And I just want to say that I have two spots in my container left, and my prices are going to go up for new clients, not old clients, for new clients in 2022. So if you feel like this is really something that you really need in your life, like you want to stop with this rinse repeat, you want to do things differently, you want to show up in relationships and for yourself differently, hop on a clarity call. We'll see if this is right for you. Of course, there's a lot of reasons why, you know, there's a lot of blocks and things, but see if this is right for you, and we'll take it from there. And so, yeah, tomorrow we're going to talk about how to regulate some of our feelings when we're in this trap, how to regulate ourselves and take responsibility for our feelings, and what that even means. It took me years, to even start understanding what taking responsibility for my feelings is, and how to say it's about me, it's not about you. And this is like because of deep dives that I've been doing and I'm still doing. But my hope is that my experience can make it much quicker for you. Much, much quicker. So with that, all my love. I hope that the first part of the video is downloaded. And if not, you know, we've covered it all here. And if it doesn't download, I'll run through it, the other part of it, really quickly tomorrow. All right, all my love and blessings, and keep coming, keep showing up, keep doing the work, and you know, let's go deep in these 3 days that we have so much together, and hopefully further. It's a beautiful journey. All my love.